I'm going to share how my failure in 2024 led me to this hugely effective but simple two-step process for defining success that we screenwriters can use to define our wins even when the industry refuses to. I'm Natalie, I'm a screenwriter, I'm a sales and acquisitions professional working in the film industry, and for the purpose of this video, also good to note that I'm a massive productivity nerd. That some of you probably don't know about me, but yes, I am annoyingly the kind of person who winds down by listening to productivity videos. Oh, I shouldn't have admitted that. Anyway, let's keep rolling. So I wanted to create this video to talk about how I'm defining success for myself moving into the new year and the two-step process that I've used to do that, which I think is really important as a creative emerging through the industry when you're not getting the accolades from the industry and the industry is effectively doing a very good job at ghosting you. Then how do you define success for yourself and what that looks like, and how do you make sure by the end of the next 12 months that you feel like you've had a successful year? This approach has made me feel so much more empowered in my screenwriting journey, and I hope it does the same for you. So before we dive into the actual two-step process, story time on the failures. So I just started to get really curious about why I was feeling like I hadn't done enough or I hadn't achieved what I set out to achieve. And what I realized is I had this very insidious shadow goal that was just lurking in the corner that I hadn't really intentionally set. I hadn't set this goal intentionally, but it was just something that had bubbled up from the swamp. And that goal was being shortlisted for a competition. I applied to many competitions and I won none. I was shortlisted for none. But when I started to interrogate that goal for myself, I thought, well, it's interesting. Like, you've set yourself, well, you didn't set yourself this goal. You have this implied goal for the year, but it's not a goal that you have any control over. And that set me on a journey and a spiral, which has led me to many a thing. But interestingly, it really made me think about all the ways in which we as creatives, as writers in this case, give our power away to the industry. And I wanted to think about for myself and really define for myself how I could reclaim some of that power and define what success looks like on my terms with all the tools and things that I can control. We can control how much we write, we can control how many competitions we submit to, but we can't control the criteria that a competition uses to pick who gets shortlisted and who wins. We can't control how many projects with a similar theme get submitted to that competition or even to a production company in that month, in those few months. So if focusing on outcomes, if focusing on the uncontrollables doesn't work, how do we define success? What do we focus on? So the first part of this two-step process is goal setting, always. But I break goals into 3 different categories. So you have your do goals, your deliver goals, and your destiny goals. Your do goals are things that you have control over. So they're the inputs into your project. For example, you might have a do goal of writing for 1 hour a day, or you might have a do goal of going to 2 networking events a month. Those are inputs, and there are no gatekeepers around that. That's all entirely up to you for the most part. Your deliver goals now are the tangible outputs of your inputs. So if you think about your deliver goals are more like you would like to write a script, complete a script, or complete 5 scripts or however many scripts. It's also about, submitting to competitions. That's where your deliver goals are. If you think about your deliver goals as being the output of your inputs of your do goals. And then finally, we have the destiny goals. If I had any editing skills whatsoever, there'd be stars, confetti, things like that. Your destiny goals are the big picture outcomes that depend on factors just that are way outside of your control. So for example, that can be getting shortlisted or winning a competition. It can be getting your project fully financed. So one of my do goals is to write for 10 hours a week. That's the time I have in my calendar to do writing. And I can talk to you in a different video about how I schedule writing time around work. But that's my do goal. My target goal is to complete my second industry ready script, which I have multiple in the works at the moment. So I'm sort of landing on which one I actually want to make it beautifully polished and ready to put out. Then my stretch goal is to shoot a script that I've written and or get a paid gig in a writer's room. So those are the ones I've set myself, but I'd love to know, if you do this exercise, what you come up with. What are your do, deliver and destiny goals? And the reason I love this is because, you know how I was saying earlier that I had set this goal to be shortlisted for a competition and then realised, oh, this is a goal that actually just isn't within my sphere of influence. I can submit the application, but I don't decide if I win or not. I don't decide if I get shortlisted or not. All I can do is work on my craft, write the scripts and submit them. That's all I have within my control, within my sphere of influence. And so the reason I really loved breaking it down this way is because it's a reminder to myself when I'm setting the goal to think about, what do you actually have control over in this situation? Knowing for me that I have pretty much total control over my do and deliver goals just helps me really keep centered on what I need to be doing and where my effort really needs to be in order to be successful. And what I love about this framework as well is that it all feeds each other, right? Hopefully you've seen that. So your do goals, your inputs, they're all feeding into your deliver goals, which are your outputs, your completed script, your competition submissions. You might have something that's like, you want to go out to 10 producers a month. Like that could be your deliver goal. And so again, like all these inputs are flowing into your output, and they do have an influence on your destiny goals, right? Because it may just mean, you know, your work is more out there and it's got the opportunity to be put in front of these people. Yes, you don't have influence over the decision, but you're making sure that it's in front of them, right? So you're doing your part in that sense. But what they do with it, whatever decisions they make, is up to them. Okay, so now what does success look like? How are we actually defining success? What would you need to have achieved by the end of the next 12 months in order for you to feel like it was a successful year? So just imagine yourself 12 months from now, reflecting back on the last 12 months. And I want you to just imagine what's happened over the last 12 months and imagine yourself feeling successful. Like, what has happened? What have you achieved? And I really want you to try and steer away from the destiny goals in this. Just to sit with those do and deliver goals and think, oh yeah, this has given me a real sense of satisfaction. This has given me a real sense of achievement. What are those things that you have achieved? And really just sink into that for a moment. You can pause the video and just be with yourself while you do this. But I think it's a really good way to practically ground yourself in what feels good and what feels right for you, and not to just go with something that seems like it would be right to somebody else, because that is my tendency. It's actually like a little time travel trick that you can use to motivate yourself. And these are one of the things that comes from being a psychology graduate. Join me, that and diagnosing yourself with many different mental illnesses, because again, psychology graduate. So that takes us to part 2 of the defining your success process. And this is where we talk about success pyramids. And I really love the idea of a success pyramid because, again, it's answering that question of what does success look like? So I broke it down into 3 parts. So if you think about your success pyramid, split up into 3, and the bottom are your baseline goals. And actually, before I even go into this, when I'm saying goals in this scenario, I don't mean you're setting new ones. We're looking at your do, deliver and destiny goals, and these will be sorted into the different tiers of your success pyramid. The baseline is what it would take for you to feel satisfied with what you've achieved by the end of the year. Then your target goals, which is the next layer up, is what you're sort of reaching for. That's what you actually think you're capable of doing within the year. Again, you may fall short, fall back on your baseline, but target is what you're aiming for. You're like, I could probably do this year. And then you have your stretch, which is the top of the pyramid. And those are goals you're like, if I really go for it this year, if luck really runs my way, if opportunities come the way I hope they come, this is what my goals are. And for me, there was just something I think there's something both grounding and also hopeful in sorting all my do, deliver, and destiny goals into that pyramid. And a useful way to think about how you might try and sort them is, for me, and maybe if I give you an example actually of how I sorted mine. Baseline for me is writing 10 hours per week, networking and making 5 new contacts per month, and reading 1 screenwriting book per month is my aim. And then for my target goals, so again, these are goals that I'm sort of above basics, going for extra, is completing a new industry ready script, doing follow-up Fridays. So that's something I've not been great at this year. I want to become a lot better at following up with people that I have met. And I'd also quite like to do a screenwriting course of some sort this year. For stretch, I'd love to get a gig in a writer's room for a few weeks. When I did the mock one at Banijay, it was just chef's kiss. Like, I just got the bug massively and I want to do more of that. I'd also set myself a stretch goal to shoot a script that I've written this year. So fingers crossed. If there are any directors, producers watching who want to help a girl out, any actors, call me. I think it's a really good idea for your baseline and your target goals to just be a mixture of your inputs and your outputs, because those are things within your sphere of control. And again, like, that's an act of defiance. It's an act of reclaiming your power, because as I mentioned, your baseline goal is your entry point to success for the year. So this is where you're putting your pen down. You're putting your pen down and you're saying, this is what success looks like for me. This is how I'm defining success this year for myself. The really important thing that I want to take away from success pyramids is it diversifies the access and entry points to success. And that's really it. That's a 2-step process. So we have the first step, which is your do, deliver, and destiny goals. Your do goals being your inputs, your deliver goals being the outputs of your inputs, and destiny being the big picture outcomes which sit outside of your control. The second part was that success pyramid. So again, remembering sorting those do, deliver, and destiny goals into your success pyramid and defining which ones are going to be your baseline for the next 12 months, your target, and your stretch. Also, just a tip to do that imagination exercise, projecting 12 months into the future, which has been shown by research to be a lovely little time travel hack that will help you feel a bit more motivated and focused and committed to achieving those goals. But most importantly, this video is really about reclaiming your power. And I think that was a really important realization for me coming into the new year. And I just wanted to share it with you. And I hope it's useful. I hope it's interesting, you know. Anyway, I really hope to see your do, deliver, destiny goals. What you're setting as your baseline, your target, and your stretch. Feel free to share. I'd love to see it. I will be doing more videos, so I'll be doing some focus sessions, Write With Me sessions. I'll also be reviewing some screenwriting books I've been reading, courses I'm taking, and just doing a bit of a day in the life stuff with me and tools I'm using. So videos will be out every Saturday, so I will see you next week.